do. A lot of time it's what you don't do. It's the times where you learn how to let go more. One of the things I've been emphasizing with our monks, even during our rains retreat, I've been teaching them. And one of the things which actually helps is if you start the meditation with like a mind of renunciation, not trying to get something, but just see how much you can just let the process happen, rather than making the process happen. I don't know if you enjoy the beautiful weather like today. It's warm, it's a bit windy, but that keeps it quite cool. And if it wasn't for the wind, you'd have so many flies landing on you. To me, it's a beautiful day, you see the beauty in it. But I can't make that beauty. I can't sort of stop the wind, or make it warm, or make it cooler. All our job is just to let go as much as we possibly can, to relax the mind. When the mind gets fully relaxed, that's actually when it can get into some very deep and peaceful meditations. I also recall, this is the first meditation class I've led since the end of the rains retreat, or since the beginning of the rains retreat. And during the rains retreat, for monks, still I have to be the teacher for the monks at Bodhinyana Monastery and at Jhana Grove. But nevertheless, I always make sure I get a 15-day period where I can have total rest. It's not just total rest like laying down sleeping, because I remember even the first day, I thought, I've been really busy teaching, I can just take it easy. And that's what I do. I started sitting, not expecting anything in the whole world, simply because I was tired. But nevertheless, with that sort of attitude, not expecting anything, not wanting anything, the mind just becomes incredibly still, peaceful and beautiful. I know the nature of my mind. I've been watching it meditating about 55 years. And you know how it works. So your job is basically to get out of the way. Not to make it happen. Not to be frustrated if it doesn't happen. But just to leave it alone and let it occur. To open the path up for a deep meditation to happen. And then, I must admit, after all these years, it still surprises me. And I'm being honest with you there. I thought the first couple of days, you just have to get over some tiredness. But it's almost straight away, you get some beautiful meditations. And lots of these things I call like nimittas. These nimittas are the lights which appear in the mind. And when the real good ones happen, they're very huge. And they're very powerful. They're almost like stunning. They're just the joy and the bliss when you can leave the world of the five senses alone. You let that world vanish and disappear. And what's left is absolutely gorgeous. I say gorgeous, and just because it always comes with this beautiful sense of piti sukha and happiness and joy, which is one of the things which you associate with the meditations, especially when they get deep. You can sometimes ask yourself, when you get into meditation, in your meditation for a long period of time, how on earth can anyone do that? Because the body, especially old bodies like mine and like many of you, you're not all spring chickens anymore. Certainly come a long way from that. But nevertheless, the aches and the pains, they can be lessened, transcended, and you can let this world of the five senses, including the body, totally vanish. When that happens, can you imagine what it must be like? Just you can't feel the body. There can be sounds outside, you can't hear them. You can't be disturbed. And the mind is within itself. And the longer it stays there, the more that joy which we can waste so easily by thinking and planning and trying, all that energy which we expound trying to get into a peaceful meditation, you don't exert that energy anymore. It just comes and happens naturally, and the mind becomes really peaceful and really blissed out. And I've been talking like this for years. That's actually why I teach meditation. It's not because I have to, and it's not because I'm trying to get anything from you. Why I do that is just you find something very beautiful and you want to share it with as many people as you possibly can, which is you. And it's surprising just how many people in the world, they've learned all types of meditation, but every now and again, whether it's against the rules of what they've been taught, or whether it's, you tell the person teaching you and they say, no, don't do that. But sometimes that's one of the greatest ways to tell someone not to do it. You get them to go to those places, the forbidden places. They're not really forbidden, they're just gorgeous and beautiful and powerful. And they're wonderful things to experience for oneself. So I really encourage that, you to be courageous. There's never anyone who's been hurt or damaged in any which way by any of the meditation which I've taught over the last 50 years. It always works and it's gorgeous. So don't be afraid. Because what happens is that when things start to happen in meditation like they should be happening, in other words, you get peaceful and still, then some things kind of vanish. Things like the sounds around you. The sounds are still happening, but you can't hear them anymore. Or that one time, to give you an example, when I was a young meditator, still at university, there wasn't that many places where you could go to do a retreat in UK. And so I found this monastery just being built, a Zen monastery. I didn't know anything about Zen teachings, but nevertheless, I just went to this retreat, and as I was there, I was told, all you do is to sit cross-legged, keep your eyes open, and just stare at the wall. I hadn't got a clue why. There was not much explanation, but I followed the instructions. And as I was sitting still watching this whitewashed wall of a converted farm building, I knew how to be quiet. I knew how to not to think. I knew how to be in this moment, just staring at a wall. And it might shock you, as it shocked me at the time, but it happened. The wall vanished. You had your eyes open all the time. And it just disappeared. One moment there's a wall in front of me, the next minute nothing. It had gone. And my eyes were wide open. Once you have experiences like that, of course you get insight. You wonder what the heck is going on. Has there been some drugs administered to me? I don't know. But there's no drugs involved. All it is just the science, the nature of the human brain and the senses. Whatever you experience through any of the five senses, if that stays there long enough and doesn't change much, a whitewashed wall with nothing much to look at, even with my eyes open, the sense of seeing, sight, turned off. These days it's much easier to find similes with things like computer screens. If you turn on a computer screen and don't click anything or do anything, the computer screen turns off. It's not being used. That's the way it saves energy. It's the same with your five senses. That's why ambient sounds in the background, even the sound of the trucks on Morley Drive, after a while, or that might be a helicopter, police helicopter or something, But after a while that all disappears. You can't feel it or hear it. The sound of the birds. It's like the brain figures out by itself it's not really important, and so it goes, it vanishes. When those sorts of things happen, the senses turn off. There's a great deal of stillness, and it shows you what you can do. You don't always have to be disturbed. And that's one of the reasons why, even in noisy places, you can still get some very peaceful meditations. Because I'm a monk, I do have to be really honest, and I always test myself out, can you still do this? I remember once, many years ago, meditating in William Street, opposite Hay Street Mall. There was a uniting church there, and some Burmese people were trying to do something to solve the violence which was happening in their country at the time from the military. And because of that, they asked me, can you just come, we're not going to say anything or shout or anything. All we're going to do is sit quietly on the steps of this church, but it's going to be noisy in the middle of the city and opposite this shop which was called Time Zone. Many years ago, it had these computer games you could pay some money and play. And the amount of noise coming out of this shop was really intense. And that's the shop we were sitting opposite to. And I thought, wow, this is marvelous. This is really what I want to do, to see if you can get into some nice quiet meditation in the middle of the city, opposite the most noisy shop in the street. It took a few minutes, but after a while, the mind turned off. All the sound of people walking up and down, the cars, and this music coming out of the shop. It proved it can be done. All you do is just stay in this moment and don't make a bother about the sound. Sometimes even on meditation retreats, for those of you who are fortunate enough to go on a meditation retreat, people sometimes complain about noisy people banging doors. And I tell them, when they bang the doors, is that the main difficulty? Or is the main problem that after they bang the doors, you start thinking, who was that? Why do they keep banging the doors? I'm going to tell Ajahn Brahm, we're going to have to make a rule that we have quiet doors, or we find out all the door bangers, we put them on a blacklist, and every time they go in the same cottage and nobody else. I don't want to spend any sort of time meditating, trying to get into deep meditation, when all these people are banging doors. It's not right. You shouldn't be able to do that. You should be more sensitive to other people in the retreat center. That's the main noise. Your reaction, which goes on for minutes, whereas the actual noise of bang is over in less than a second. So when you point out what the problem really is, the solution's obvious. Shh. Be quiet. No matter who's banging the doors, make sure you're not banging your mind inside. And then you find crazy, but you can almost sit anywhere, no matter how noisy it is. After a while, the sense of hearing turns off. And if any of you have been meditating quietly and you find I remember this first time somebody really said they were in big trouble in their meditation practice. They said they were sitting and their hands disappeared. What's happened? This is weird, I can't feel my hands. I said, well done. Now carry on meditating and see if the rest of your body can disappear as well, not just your hands. Because that's what's supposed to happen. Soon the mind gets so peaceful that all the body vanishes. You can't feel it at all. You can't feel anything. It's like another sense has been turned off. You're fully aware, energized, But there's things which you'll always have to deal with. Now you don't. And the amount of peace that is gorgeous and beautiful. Which means that you're getting closer to getting past the five senses and getting to the stillness of the mind. And every time you do that, your mind becomes much more powerful. You can feel its energy. And because of that, you meditate for here 45 minutes or maybe longer, and you find you get into some gorgeous states of meditation. And when you come out afterwards, how do you know you haven't been asleep? How do you know the difference between the five senses vanishing and just falling into like unconscious sleep state? You will know that by how you feel afterwards. And how you feel afterwards, if you had a nice meditation, is got all the energy in the world. So much energy. Beautiful energy, powerful energy. As many of you know, I had my 73rd birthday last August. I'm an old monk now, but I never feel as fit and healthy as after a nice meditation. Then it's weird, but you feel like you could sign up for the Olympic Games and run a marathon. I wouldn't be able to do that, but that's how you feel. Your energy is really piling up. But it's not just with the energy in the body, it's the energy in the mind and the clarity of your mind. When all the energy has been taken away from the five senses for a while and gone into the mind, it's like you are very, very clear. And the weird thing which you kind of discovered, but it's so true, and then you go back to how the Buddha taught meditation and find it's totally true, is your happiness increases. You're becoming a much happier human being because you can see beauty in places where other people can't see it. See joy. You don't get so irritated, angry or depressed. You can't. It's just because life is too interesting, too engaging, with a mind which can see all the beauty in this world. We have these windows which I look at, just this gorgeous landscape of trees and the Buddha statue and the house in front of me. And when the mind gets peaceful, my goodness, it's beautiful. I'm not making that up. Why? Because it's peaceful and beautiful, your mind has more time to absorb all the colors. You just look quickly this way and that way, moving all the time. The senses even don't have the intensity. They just can't really see anything properly before they move on to the next thing. And this is not just what I make up. Interestingly, the place where I saw this so clearly was in a poem by William Blake. To see a world in a grain of sand, see a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. That's impressed me when I was a student. Now you can understand it so fully. When you meditate and open your eyes afterwards, you see a world in a little grain of sand, insignificant thing. You see so much detail and beauty in it. A wild flower, tiny thing, but you can see it all. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand. Timelessness. How many of us are prisoners of time, always worrying about the next appointment, an eternity in an hour. Again, timelessness. So that's what meditation does. It's gorgeous and it's beautiful. So please never be afraid. Never want anything, but let go as much as you possibly can. How to meditate? That old simile, how heavy is a clock? This whatever I'm holding up, actually this is really light, but how heavy it is, the longer you hold it, the heavier it feels. So don't hold anything in meditation. Put everything down. It becomes still and timeless all by itself. So anyway, that's an introduction. Said many things there. You don't need to have understand them or think you should take notes like a university class, because you will find the important stuff is already lodged in your mind. And then afterwards, when it's needed, it will come up to help you. That's how meditation works. It's kind of brainwashing, but in a very good way. Okay, so let's start the meditation now. Oh, I should actually say, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, but a few of you come in late. This is the ongoing class in meditation. For those who come to the introduction class, that's being held in the room to my right. Okay, so let's get started. So please just get a nice little posture where you're sitting and close the eyes. This is not a Zen retreat. There's no white wall in front of you, so just keep your eyes closed. And with your eyes closed, first thing I ask people to do is check your body. We're aware, but we're also kind. And what we're kind to is this body, which we're going to spend time with for 30, 40 minutes. Are you comfortable? Don't assume so quickly that you are. Again, I've been meditating for such a long time. But nevertheless, I check my body part by part. I found that the most useful. It helps relax my body, prepare it for nice meditation. And it also, it builds up these qualities which are so vital at the beginning of mindfulness and kindness. So I start with my feet. You can be sitting on a chair or cross-legged on the floor or on a stool. Can you be aware of any sensations in your feet right now? If you think you can't, take your hand and rub a part of your feet to get a connection between your brain and your feet. And when you make a connection, send kindness, compassion along that connection. See if you can make your own feet more comfortable. Sometimes I just start with my toes. I never realized just how sensitive a toe can be. You develop that sensitivity by being able to feel any sensations in your toes at all. And once you can feel those sensations, you're able to relax everything. It's a simple exercise, but it helps you just have more influence on the body, which is getting old or which is sick. And you start to feel your toes or the rest of your feet relaxing. And as they do get more and more relaxed, it starts to feel good. Sometimes the only way people can relax their feet is with something like reflexology, a foot massage. But this one you can do yourself, anytime. Not by rubbing anything or pressing anything in your feet, just by allowing the mind to be sensitive to your feet and wish every part of your feet a sense of peace and comfort. And once your feet are comfortable, you move up to your ankles. I can feel my own ankles now. and there's no problem there at all. But I want to care for them, to relax them even more deeply. I remember as a young boy in the cold weather of London, just soaking my feet in warm water, and afterwards I felt so at ease and relaxed. To me now this is even better. Feel my ankles with no tension or tightness at all. They feel more and more relaxed. I didn't even move them or touch them. Just the mind being kind. And then move up to the lower legs, the calves. I don't have any aches or pains there at the moment, but I can still feel those muscles in the back of my legs. I can feel the skin of those legs. Even imagine the bones. And I wish them happiness and well-being. Just like some of the chanting which I do for some of you Buddhists. It's like sending along this beautiful energy of kindness which works, which makes everything loose and at ease and strong. It feels good. I go to my knees. You'd think sitting down cross-legged on cushions or on mats, you get sort of sore knees. Over all these years, my knees have been fine. I sat for hours and hours with them crossed like this. And the way I do it is I investigate any sensations in there in my knees which are, you can tell whether they're sensations of comfort or sensations of stress. And if there's sensations of stress, I would even go as far as moving my knees. Or to send them beautiful loving kindness, to relax them, to open up any areas which seem to be squashed or stretched. And soon the body just relaxes. You can feel that sensation of relaxation. My knees feel totally at ease. And I go up my thigh muscles, huge muscles, but I always look after them, so I can't feel any tightness there, or any aches or any pains. But nevertheless, I spend a few seconds with them, relaxing them to the max. The next thing I come to is the buttocks. And when I experience the sensations there, you can always feel the pressure of my body passing through the buttocks onto the mat on which I'm sitting. When you experience that, I try to keep it even on both sides of the buttocks. It doesn't disappear yet, but once it's even and balanced, I know that soon, as the mind goes to other parts of the body, that particular feeling will disappear, because it doesn't change. And once it disappears, middle of the meditation, if I want to, I can go back to that area and find there's no feelings or sensations there at all. The trick is to keep it not changing too fast. Then it disappears by itself. Then I go to my back. I just relax the whole of my legs, from the buttocks down. I go to my waist. And it works for me to actually just to straighten out my back. That's how I found a comfortable position. You may differ, wish to lean back on the seat. Whatever it is, experiment until you find your best posture. And when I sort of straighten up my back, stretch it if you like to say, it feels much better. But as I was saying that, I noticed that one of the legs it wasn't relaxed as much as just going asleep, losing the sensations there at the wrong time. So I just moved slightly. And then I start to sweep my awareness up my torso. And because I'm a monk, monks always seem to have the problem of like indigestion, because we only eat in the morning time. And sometimes we're not quite sure what we're eating. We don't cook our own food. So because of that, I like to scan the colon and intestines, how they feel. If there's any part of those digestive tracts which feels tense or painful, or even like slightly out of the ordinary, I would spend time there. I never feel like you should try and get away from any of those physical problems, but just go right into them. Stay there and relax them from the inside. Not from the outside in, but the inside out. I can find a slight little irritation in my colon. Nothing serious, but I'm just going to spend a few moments there and giving it kindness, care. Sometimes I imagine it expanding. As it expands, it gets more dilute, and any tension or stress there eventually vanishes. Sometimes it takes longer than a few seconds, sometimes a few minutes, but it's wonderful to know that it works. Any type of ache or pain you can actually deal with. You go up to my stomach, still scanning upwards. Again, if there's any problem anywhere, you know your body so well, you can feel that there's something different there. It could be a problem, and you can deal with it. You scan your own body, and it's accurate. You get to my lungs. I'm a hay fever sufferer, and I must admit, I forgot to take my little pill of Claritine which works to lessen the symptoms of hay fever this morning. So I can feel my nose is a little bit stuffed and affecting my lungs. Not much. Know exactly why. You go further up to your heart region. And I teach this also to people who are liable to things like breast cancer or other types of cancers. To be so aware of your body, you can relax it so deeply that many of those diseases just do not affect you. Until I get to my shoulder blades. I'm surprised today. My shoulders are relaxed, but nevertheless I always notice how they are and learn how to relax them. One of the things I do is just a simple technique. I squash up my shoulders, scrunch them up as much as I can, and then let them go. And they tend to relax deeper. They were scrunched first, but then when I let them go, they go deeper into relaxation than they were when I started. My shoulders feel totally at ease. I go down my arms to my elbows. If you've ever had an accident, fell over, sometimes those elbows get injured, and you can heal them yourself. When you pay attention to them, actually some laboratory tests have shown that more blood goes to that part of the body, more healing can happen. So it's like looking after your own elbows, your own injuries. You go down the arm to the wrist, and you can feel any sensations in the wrist, and you can learn how to relax them all. So even my wrist feels more at ease than usual. And lastly, go to my hands. And those hands, I can see just the way that I've got my fingers. It's not a usual position for my fingers, but today it feels good down there, so I'm going to trust my body and let its posture in the hands stay like it is. If you need to move them, please do so. It's like doing a final check, at the same time building up the qualities of kindness and mindfulness. I'm now much more aware than when I started. And I've also been in the present moment all this time, with the feelings and sensations in the body as they are right now. And then I go up to my neck, and there can be pressure in the neck if your head is not balanced on top of it. So here I move my head to the left and right, forward and back, until I find the optimum position, the most comfortable position for my head on my neck. When you've got your eyes closed, you can feel it much more because all those visual stimuli are not interfering with your ability to feel the state of your body. And then lastly I go to my face. On my face, around the eyes and the nose and the mouth, that's where the emotional world is played out, tightening up, stretching, compressing the muscles on the front of your face. So I relax all those muscles deeply. When I relax the muscles around my eyes, around my mouth, many of those emotions are also relaxed. You can't feel fear or expectation or disappointment. Those emotional sources of the tension in the face disappear. And even my face feels so at ease. And now I realize I've relaxed the whole of my body. If there's something I've missed, I'll deal with it right now. My body feels basically at ease, the whole thing. And I'll wait there for just a few moments. And what happens next kind of surprised me. But you have the joy of relaxation. I can feel, I've got to be accurate, the pleasure of having a body which is fully at ease. Hardly any tightness or stress in it at all. When I get to that stage and start to feel the joy of relaxation, it reminds me just how joyful, pleasurable peace and relaxation actually are. It's a type of pleasure which is not just like getting your favorite food or watching a movie. It's a pleasure of relaxation. So I just indulge in that for a minute. And I notice the body gets more relaxed. And then I decide it's time to let go of the body. Done the preparation. Now I go into the mind. What do I mean by being aware of the mind? I choose one aspect of the mind. The one I chose, which works the best, is being aware of the thing called peace. What is peace? How peaceful are you right now? Because I've been aware and kind in this moment, not worrying about past or future. This moment has been there, it kind of established, and it's peaceful. There's nothing much I need to do. And how do I get more peaceful in my mind? By giving up totally the past and the future. The past is finished with. I can't change the past. And as for the future, I realized a long time ago that now is where my future is being made. The more peaceful I am right now, the healthier and more successful will I be in the future. So by looking after this present moment, I'm also doing the best I possibly can for the future. And how does it feel in your mind when you let go of past and future? Can you feel that peace becoming more solid, more stable, more beautiful? You don't ever decide to look at something which is beautiful. The beauty just attracts you. You can't resist it. And don't resist the beauty of peace. And then the next thing which I notice is that when I speak, when I think, assess, weigh, measure, then it gets worse. It's just too much disturbance. So now I let the mind become silent. It's a silent, present moment awareness with lots of kindness. And I will be quiet now until the end of the meditation. getting close to the end of the meditation. How do you feel? How peaceful is your mind? And how pleasant is it? And as your five senses come back online, how do they feel? When you can appreciate what meditation does for the body and the mind, this is a wonderful, easy thing to do. You'll be guided, encouraged, pulled to do more and more meditation. This is a wonderful way to spend 45 minutes. And when you are ready, please open your eyes. And just move the body if you wish. This meditation is now over. Excellent. I was recently in Singapore just giving my presentation for a seminar on resilience. And the abbot of the Porkaxi monastery, he was teaching a little meditation and suggesting at the end that you should rub your hands. I've never seen that before. Basically, you don't need to rub your hands after the end of a meditation, but sometimes I would advise at the end of a meditation to smile. It kind of takes the joy of meditation out into the body and outside. It's worth smiling at. It's a beautiful thing to do. So at the end of the meditation sessions I teach here, it's always spend the last 15 minutes doing a Q&A, questions and answers. I know there's usually questions from international, but first of all, has anybody got a question here from the floor? Okay, there will be an opportunity to ask one afterwards. Let's see what we have here. We have one from Germany, and these other ones, they don't say where they're from. First one from Germany. I have a tumor and had a few operations. Now it seems I have to start from the beginning with meditation. I seem to have lost all years of practice. Why? How to get back peace and silence? It's usually any wisdom, any sort of ideas how to meditate you have are never stored in a tumor. If the tumor has disappeared because of operations, that wisdom is still there in the mind. So it should be easy to get back all those years of practice, how to get back to things like silence. It may be a little difficult at the beginning, but at least you know what silence feels like. So when it starts to come back, so you won't be afraid of it, the mind will kind of, as we often say, leap towards that silence and that peace. So just, you don't need to sit on a chair or cross-legged on the floor. Honestly, I haven't been that often hospitalized in bed, but I still relate that story. My first year as a monk, I had scrub typhus. I was bedridden for about 3 weeks, and I remember clearly just having zero energy and just meditating, laid out on the bed and getting into very deep meditation. I just asked my body, just how are you? How can you be more comfortable? So don't think you have to get into a full lotus position or anything which looks good on camera. If I had taken a photograph of how my body was, having scrub typhus, my posture was all over the place. One leg sticking in one direction, another leg sticking in another direction, arms all over the place. But still you can get into deep meditation. That's how my body wanted to be. So you've had an operation and the tumour, just ask your body, how comfortable are you? And just it means a bit more time getting the body into its most comfortable position. And when you find that comfort, just stay there and start to be peaceful. Start to be kind. And then you find you get that peace and silence pretty easy. It's always there in the background. The other thing which I'd ask you to do, like I often ask people who come into a hall like this, when you come through those doors, what do you see here? Sometimes people just see other people, their friends, or the big Buddha statue, or the flowers on the shrine. How about looking at what's between everybody, the emptiness, the space in this hall? Because when you start to see the emptiness and the space in this hall, it's far greater than any number of chairs or people or things. It's why we really try hard to keep lots of things off the shrine. Please excuse me, but people say, oh, you've got space over there, can I put some ornament? The space is the most wonderful ornament. So we try and keep the spaciousness of the hall, the emptiness of the hall. And if you can do that with your own mind, your own meditation, when you just had an operation, don't look for the ache or the pain or anything. Look for what's between all of that, around all of that, like what's in this hall here, the emptiness, the space, and celebrate that. And then you find that peace, and the silence come back pretty easily. It's never gone. You can destroy walls and ceilings, but you can never destroy peace and silence. The space in this hall will always be here. You can try and fill it up, but this space in this hall is a bit too vast to fill up. And that's one of the reasons why, growing up in Europe, sometimes those vast cathedrals, I forget what they were trying to celebrate, but to me, they were so spacious, so empty. There's huge ceilings. It was what was underneath that ceiling, between the ceiling and the ground, which is what I celebrated. It was so empty, spacious. I love that, because that told you what the mind can be like. Question 2 here. What do I do when the discouraging voice in my head about daily meditation is stronger than the discipline and the practice? Don't try and discipline that strong voice. Just, if you have a strong voice trying to discourage you to meditate, remember just the last thing we did in this meditation today. I said, how does it feel? How does the body feel? How relaxed are you? How peaceful is the mind? And to see the benefits of meditation, that strong voice can't withstand the obvious benefits of the meditation. My first meditation teacher once told me, there is no such thing as a bad meditation. It's just some meditations are much better than others, but no meditation is bad. Every meditation you're building up like meditation credits, and eventually you have so many, you get these beautiful experiences in meditation. So that's one thing, how to overcome that discouraging voice in your head is not being true and accurate. Third question, I struggle to feel safe during meditation, even when I am alone in my house with the door locked. How to bring in more safety and protection to the meditation? Usually by keeping precepts. We have things like the 5 precepts, not delivering, killing any living being, not stealing, not committing adultery, not lying, not taking alcohol or drugs. And please excuse me for this, but this is how I feel. I started off life as a theoretical physicist, at university. So I was always skeptical. But then came the time when, you started seeing some amazing things. And there are, please excuse me, heavenly beings which actually do protect you. And I don't know why, but they do. And because of that, it means that you're more safe when you meditate than when you don't. Even to the point, okay, here it comes. Even to the point that there's so many stories, and some of these are contemporary, but the one I'm going to say now is an old story in the teachings of the Buddha. There was once a monk in the time of the Buddha who was in the jungle somewhere, meditating, got into a deep meditation. You get into such deep meditations, you stop breathing. And so when his villagers came by and they saw him, he wasn't breathing at all. And they thought, oh my goodness, the Venerable has died. And I say this to you because if you see any of us and you think, oh my goodness, Ajahn Brahm's dead, please don't send me to the morgue yet. Just touch me to see if I'm warm or if I'm cold. Because if you are cold, yes, you may be dead. If you are warm, you're just in a deep meditation. And this monk was actually warm, but they never sort of bothered about that. They thought he was dead because they couldn't see him breathing. So in the forest, they got some wood, made a pyre, put the Venerable on top and lit the pyre. And when the flames were high enough, they thought, the burning will take care of itself and he'll be fine, he'll be burnt, cremated. But you can imagine what they felt the following morning when he came into their village on arms round. Not even his robe was charred. He was fully alive. That's what happens. Even recently, I said contemporary as well, there was one of our meditators, the beginning of the Range Retreat, one of the members from Hong Kong, and they were meditating on the stupa, the very last day of the retreat, in the stupa in Jhana Grove, and it was cold then, windy, and even there was some rain, and she should have come for breakfast and gone to Bodhinyana Monastery for the end of the Range Retreat ceremony. But she was still sitting there. They tried to move her and she wouldn't move. So they came and asked me, what should we do? And what I told them to do is that don't shout so loudly in her ear. She's warm. They knew that understanding. Just tell her, do it very gently into her ear. Ajahn Brahm asks you to come out of meditation and please come to Bodhinyana Monastery. It has to be gentle. And so that's what they did. And about 20 minutes later, they said it didn't work, she was still sitting there. They came back to Bodhinyana Monastery in a car. But then 5 or 10 minutes later, she actually appeared in the hall, walking over. She said, oh, you asked me to come. It took her time to come out of a deep meditation. You can't just come out straight away. She was fine. And that's when I asked her, do you need any breakfast? She said, no, I don't feel like any breakfast. And so she just did some more meditation in Bodhinyana Hall. And I thanked her for that because it gave her teaching. All the stuff which I say is not weird stuff. It's actually true. So if you want someone to come out of meditation, deep meditation, do as gently as you possibly can with as much loving kindness. Please come out of meditation. And if that's you, yourself, and you feel you need to come out of the meditation, don't try and come out of the meditation too fast. One of the ways of coming out of the meditation, or getting somebody else out of the meditation, if they're in the room, you say, please come out of meditation after the count of 10. 1, 2, 3. And you can actually allow them to gently come out of meditation. The deep meditations are beautiful, and you can't just come out fast. So until 8, 9, and 10, and then you can come out. That's how it's done. Anyway, last question here. So no need to feel afraid, because other things can't harm you. It's the safest thing you can possibly do. Dear Ajahn Brahm, I never see any images when I meditate. Just wait, they'll come. All I see is black. Even if I want to visualize it, it's just black. I hear that seeing images is a sign of progress. Is this true, and how to help? Look at the center of that blackness. The next time you're meditating, just feel the peace and the stillness, the present moment. Don't want anything. Just incline. If you just see a black screen image, go to the very center, and there you find beautiful light will emerge from the very center of what you're looking at. That's always what happens. Okay, so I've done 4 questions from overseas or from online. Now some questions from my audience here. Anything which I can answer for you? You got some more questions? Oh. Oops. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story from Jhana Grove, Ajahn Brahm. It's very inspiring.
Yeah, I thanked her afterwards. People were worried about that lady, but, afterwards I said, thank you. I didn't sort of overemphasize it, but it just shows you that it's possible, even these days, for people who never expect to get into deep meditation, to be able to do so.
I guess my question was, which you may have mentioned it in the story, but I didn't catch it, was why did she need to be brought out of the meditation?
Because she had a plane to catch in the afternoon.
Okay. Thank you, Ajahn.
It was a fellow Hong Kongese who were worried about her, saying, what should we do? Should we just go to the airport and leave her here? Or what should we do? So, it's easy enough to deal with. And it's also because, she was like a disciple, respects me. What it's like. You use authority. I've got no authority, only the authority you give me. But she gave me that authority a long time ago. And so she said that Ajahn Brahm asked you to come. That's kind of more important. They say, well, El asked you to come. So that actually works. And I'll tell another story for you. This was like a dream which I had so many years ago, when I was still a lay person. It's not sort of a past memory, but it must be related to a past life memory because I can't understand any other way. But the dream was I was a kid in the cheap council flats where I was brought up, and then a group of kids came up to me. I was maybe about 7 or 8 or 9 or something, that age. They came up to me and with knives and started threatening me. This never happened, but I had a very powerful dream about it. And when they started stabbing me, it hurt so intolerably. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't bear it. And the last thing I remember is my mother, so somehow or other she saw that, came screaming, running out towards me, trying to save me, and scare all those little kids off. But I remember just in this dream I had some weird dreams, going into this state of catatonia. You go so deep inside, that you can't feel anything out of fear. You know, that life hurts too much. So you find a deep space inside where you can basically survive. And I remember just, I don't know how many years in this dream that I was in that state, but I remember just what brought me out of it was like in some hospital ward somewhere, just one of the kindest nurses you could ever imagine. Just, I think her voice was just so compelling and soft, and no sense of fear at all, and that kind of brought you out, something which was safe. And that's how that catatonia finished for me. I never had that. I don't know why I had that dream, because, that never happened to me. I've got no wounds on my body. I've always been very fortunate with that. But then it was just made so much sense to me, especially with the meditation, to come out of the meditation. That's why, please excuse me, I hate using this thing. Not hate, but I prefer not to, just to talk you out of the meditation. Over in Jhanagraha, I've got this singing bell, and that's much nicer, just to rub that, and it makes this nice sound. But if you have a deep meditation, the last thing you want to do is go bang, gong. That's disgusting. It doesn't fit at all. Ugh. If you're so soft and sensitive, that's the last thing you need. But have a nice voice to say, it's now time to come out of the meditation. Please come out. And then, after the count of 10 or whatever, you feel that safety and that comfort, and you can come out easily. And I was very happy to just see this lady who came out of the meditation on the stupa. She hadn't been there most of the night, I think. And then when she came out, she didn't look at all perturbed. She said, I asked you to come out. Please have something to eat. I don't feel like eating right now. So I leant against the wall and started meditating. Perfectly okay. So anyway, that was a nice experience, which I share with you. She's about your age. Any other questions anybody has? So please don't get jealous. Why her? Please just have this beautiful sense of, they call it mudita, that actually works. And when you see somebody doing things like that, it just gives you a lot of confidence and energy for yourself.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I was just wondering, does meditation have positive effects on people around you that you live with?
Of course, yes. Inspires them. That's why if you are meditating with another person who has a good meditation, you tend to have a good meditation as well. It's something I've noticed in monasteries, that sometimes one of the people in the monastery that evening has a really good meditation. And other people have good meditations too, better than usual, that same evening. It's just like there is a sense of synergy between them. So it does have a great effect on some of the people around you, not just the meditation, but just what it does for you. They see this beautiful, soft, kind person around. And of course that's what they want as well. This woman from Sydney who came on one of my retreats, she had some reasonably good meditation, and they're not jhanas, but good enough. And when she went back to her sort of a company over in Sydney, her boss took one look at her and said, I don't know what drug Ajahn Brahm is giving you in Perth, but please bring me back some next time. Of course we don't give any drugs, but you could see straight away just how peaceful and kind she was, and they encouraged him to be kind.
Thank you.
I'm a meditator. Do I have an effect on you when you come into this room?
Yep.
It works. Any other questions from? Okay, no, from the audience here. Okay, I know that it's Saturday afternoon and you need to get back for the other things which you have to do in life. So thank you again for coming here today. And now we're going to bow 3 times to Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, and then we can all go our separate ways. Nice. I actually enjoyed this job. Just bow.